Okay. Hi, I think it's time for us to go ahead and get started. I want to start off by thanking everyone for participating in this. I know for the East Coast is getting a little bit late. It's probably around dinner time or a little after. I know that if we have any teachers in the room, I mean, you just survived over the last 7 days, not only Halloween, but also daylight savings. And it's probably a little stressful getting back in the groove of things. Our goal for this webinar is we really want you to be able to walk away feeling like you have a really good understanding of how Snow.Live operates. We're also really hoping that you come out of it with some really good tips and tricks and start incorporating it into your own classroom as well. So what we'll be doing today is we're going to do just a little introduction to Snow.Live. Snow.Live is our online kind of version of Snowflake. It doesn't have all of the same features of the Snowflake app, but it does have the lesson component. And that's a really great, powerful piece. So we'll go through. As we're working, I'm thinking we'll probably do about 15, maybe 20 minutes where I'll demo and share with you my screen of how to navigate through Snow.Live. And then I'd like us to really just open up the floor and have a lot of time to ask questions and try and troubleshoot if you're struggling with anything or if there's anything that's a challenge. And also share. I'd love to hear how you've been incorporating, if you have been incorporating, using Snowflake into your classroom. So that's the plan for tonight. Just a little background about myself. I'm Danielle Macklin. I'm currently living in New York. I'm in the capital region. I just moved here. And I have been working with NUITEQ since December. Prior to that, I was a middle school social studies teacher for 11 years. And I've really enjoyed having that experience of using the Snowflake software. I had it for the last 5 years in my classroom. So I have, I think, a pretty good understanding of it. And I'm hoping I can really share a lot of that with you. So that's the plan. We've got everything set up where right now your mics are disabled. We will turn that on as we continue a little bit later for the questions and answers. If at any point though you have a question that you want to ask me, if I'm going too fast, if something's not clear, there is a chat icon located at the bottom of your screen and you should be able to chat directly with me. You can ask questions that way. And then when we go into Q&A, you can also ask questions from that too. I want you to participate as much or as little as you feel comfortable. I know that if you're at home, you probably just might want to chill a little bit and be passive. That's totally okay. We're going to be sharing a lot, so it's going to be a lot of information today. So I'm going to start off first with sharing with you my contact information so that if you have a question for me after the webinar, you have a chance to reach out. So I'm at danielle.nuitec.com. And I'm going to be sharing that with everyone in a chat. And I also want to share with you another feature that we have is we have a series of online training videos. So our online training videos will walk you through all of the different pieces of individual lessons. We'll give you a little bit more in-depth. So if you do want to refer back to things after, that is available. So there's the link for that. So if everyone's ready, I think we're going to go ahead and begin. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to share with you first my screen, and I'm going to share the website of Snow.Live. So Snow.Live, like I said, it's like our online version of the Snowflake platform. So it gives you an opportunity to really access all of the lessons that we have in this one place. So I just want to make sure everyone is getting that. All right, so in our online version of Snowflake, we have what we call the Explore page. So when you go to Snow.Live, this is what you will first see. I'm going to just give you a quick little walkthrough of all the features of it. So on this, it is featuring lessons. These change regularly. So you will see lessons created by the NUITEQ content team. Everyone who is on the content team, the EdTech specialists, we all have a little check mark next to our name. So that as you're going through, all of these lessons are featured by our NUITEQ team. So you can see that. You'll also notice that some of the lessons might have this little YouTube picture. Those are lessons that have a YouTube video that relates to the content directly in front of it. So it gives you a chance to scroll through it. We do change this regularly. We try and keep it up to date. We did have a whole lot of back to school lessons up at the beginning of the school year, and we try and keep up with current things that we are creating as a team and that's relevant to what's happening right now. So within the Snowflake community, one of the things that you're able to do is you're able to search lessons. You can search right over here by community lessons, or you can search by standards. we have over 100,000 lessons that have been uploaded into the community. And we also have standards from a variety of different specific states. So we have, I think most of the United States is in this. And we also have we also have the Common Core standards. So if I go ahead and click Common Core, and you can narrow it down too even further by grade level, by subject, or particular skills. I'm just going to do a general. There you go, a little general Common Core. So you can see lessons that are created under that. Or you can also choose to search the community by different subjects. So if I wanted to search for maybe middle school math, as I continue to go through, it's going to open up all of the lessons that have been tagged and saved under that. So there we have all of our, or 100 of our middle school math lessons. With all of the lessons, you have an opportunity to view the descriptions. So if you click the little 3 dots, it opens up lesson info. So you can read a little bit more about the lesson itself. It'll also tell you if there's any other supplemental materials. A lot of our teammates really work hard to create extra activities and resources to go along with the lessons. You also have the opportunity to download a lesson. A lot of times we find, especially if you maybe don't have the strongest of Wi-Fi, you can download a lesson to your device, save it onto a USB, and then reopen it onto your Snowflake. So if you wanted to play it on the big board and not just on a smaller screen. Another search option that we have is you can search by keywords. So if I go back to the community, I can search for, maybe I want a lesson on, let's refresh, on maps. So I can go ahead and search, and again, pulls up all sorts of lessons. So you have a variety of different ways that you can search for specific content. When you find something that you like, there's a few different things that you can do. You can immediately hit play, and you'll sign into your Snowflake account and begin playing. Or you can hit the heart, and that will like it, and I'll show you what liking it does in a moment. I'm going to first start though with just playing a lesson. So if I hit play, it should open up so that I have to put in my credentials. So it gives me the info. Since I haven't already signed in, and you'll see the sign in button is right up here. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. With our Snowflake sign-on, we do have the single sign-on with Google. I have my information saved. This is something that should be already set up by your IT department. So hopefully if there's any issues, they can be the ones who manage it. If for some reason you don't have it, there is an opportunity to do just a free version for temporary use of Snowflake, and then you can go and have your IT department kind of put your account back in order. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. You'll have to excuse my internet connection. Not the greatest right now. Go ahead and sign in. So while that's working, I'm just going to check and see if we've had any questions. So kind of give you a little feedback. So it looks like everyone's still with us. I'm really glad. I'm going to go ahead and go back and continue sharing that web page, and we'll continue with that. Go back to my web browser. Get this out of the way. Alrighty. So this opened up the lesson since that is where I had begun to play. I'm going to go back to my lessons. So one of the things that I've really enjoyed with using Snowflake, I used it in my classroom. My district got our boards 5 years ago, and I immediately took to how easy it was to create the lessons and design the lessons and play the lessons. And my kids really loved getting up and like touching the board and, you know, being out of their seats, which with middle schoolers, that's super important for them. But I also loved that with Snowflake, we then moved into a platform when we had an online version. So we just examined the Explore page. Once I hit play and I signed into my account, it then moved me over to my lessons. So my lessons are going to show me all of the lessons that I've played, that I've created, or lessons that I may have downloaded and edited. So once you've played a lesson or if you've downloaded a lesson, it becomes kind of yours. And you can change things around, you can alter certain things so that they are specific to your students. You can change the description so that you have it kind of more customized and individualized to the needs of your kiddos. So from this, we have two options in My Lessons. We have lesson creation. And lesson creation is going to show you, we have all of our practice templates. So each of these lessons has kind of a quick preview of what it does. And they're already preset and pre-designed. So practice means there's no score attached to it, it's just kind of everything. But if you wanted to assign students a grade, the assessment portion allows for that to be given in. So you can see like a percentage of how many they answered correctly or incorrectly. So it's a little bit more formal of an assessment. We will be having Snowflake classes on each individual lesson design. So we'll be doing different webinars to show you how to create a lesson that's a guess or how to create a lesson that's a cards so that you can become more familiar with it. Then I'd also suggest that you reference the training videos that are on the website that I had sent to everyone. So that's creating a lesson. Another option on Snow.live is the poll feature. And poll features are a really great way to quickly gauge students' understanding. When you open poll, this is your basic screen. You can add the name to it. You can change the font. You can choose to have students participate in a poll where they can see the questions on their own device, or you can have the questions just on display on the board. You can also change the background. So since I taught social studies, I did a lot of social studies backgrounds, but it's just a fun way to make things a little bit more customized. And that's what's really great too about this online version is you have the opportunity to really change and add a lot more to it. And then we have 3 different types of question categories. We have multiple choice questions. We also have yes, no, or you can look at it as true, false. You can edit all of the text for that. So I could say, true or false, or red or green, or whatever my question might be. Multiple choice gives you more. And then text would be a short answer. So once you've done that, you can then add another question. You can make it as long or as short as you want. All of this will save on your online platform, so you can easily access it. And then when students play it, you can hide the questions from them so that they can't see the questions ahead of time. You also can suggest bad words. So if you're concerned about students, since it is anonymous, if you're concerned about students using inappropriate language, we filter out a lot of that. But if you think they might be sneaky and there might be words that they might add in, there's an opportunity to kind of suggest those as well. And then afterwards, you can export all of the data so that you can see how your students have answered. So that's one of the features under the My Lessons, under creating. So go ahead and get back. So next, I'm going to show you the other features listed under My Lessons. We're going to talk a little bit about the lists features. We're going to talk about shared lessons, liked lessons, groups, kind of all of the different pieces, but I'll keep it pretty short because I'm sure you'll probably have questions about it. So I've gone home, I'm back to My Lessons page. We've gone through the Explore page. We just did lessons, we just did polls. So now if I go to My Lessons, so lessons itself, that's what you're seeing on my screen. That's all of my lessons. And just like I can search the community, I can also search my own individual lessons. If I know, I've made a lot. If I know, like, I made a lesson once on Jacob Rees, let me go find that. Rather than scrolling, I can type it in. Or I could search by what age group did I make a lesson for, what lesson type am I looking for, and it would narrow down all of the filters. So it's just a way to filter out as you're searching for your own lessons. It also will show my polls. So the create option is how you make your poll. The My Lessons portion is where you can access the polls so that you can see them after. Lists is a feature that kind of self-explanatory. You get to make a list. So I think a few examples. I have a list I went to ISTE this year, and I wanted to make sure that all of the lessons we created with ISTE standards were in one easy to access place. So I created an ISTE list. And then you see my little practiced ones. So to add a lesson to the list, I just go to my lessons, and it's just a really easy little click of a button. And I apologize that my internet connection's being a little bit slow. Hopefully that'll kind of speed up. So as I'm back to my lessons, when I get to one of my lessons, I have the option to play. The little gear wheel is your edit option, so I can go back and change things. And then 3 dots, just like on the Explore page that gives you the description, those 3 dots, I can change things around. I can send to students. One of the features we have in Snow.live is the ability to create classes and manage students. I'll share that with you in just a moment. I can save to community. So our community is where any educator is able to upload and share their lessons. And then this is that add it to a list, so I can choose where I want to put it, duplicate it, download it, delete it. So pretty easy to navigate options. Those polls, lists. Shared lessons are just any lessons I've uploaded into the community. Since I work at creating content for NUITEQ, all my lessons right now, I think, unless it says in progress, are shared onto the community. It also shows me liked lessons. So when I was at that Explore page, one of the options I have with lessons is I can favorite it. And it's kind of like Instagram. You click the heart, it's a like, and then it keeps track of all of the ones that you've liked. And then another feature that we have is our groups option. And groups it's similar to lists, except it's a collaborative space. So these are all of the groups that I'm part of as far as creating lessons. In the group, it's an opportunity for teachers to add in a collaborative environment, lessons that they may have created. So at my district, the way I saw this in operation was the entire 2nd grade, they had their own group. So one teacher might have made a really great math lesson and then shared within the group that lesson. So then all of the students in 2nd grade had access, or all of the teachers in 2nd grade had access to that lesson to share with their students. That's the features under my lessons. And then lastly, we have the option of classes. And this is, I think, a really great feature. Classes, we can manage students and we can review their progress. So it does have on Snow.live, it has its own learning management system, which is great for collecting data and kind of driving instruction. So you can create classes. I've already created a couple. You can also hit add a new class, or you can import from Google Classroom. I don't have any Google Classrooms linked to it right now, but that's one way to bring it in. And it just sends those students a Google notification saying so-and-so is trying to have you join their classroom. That's their opportunity. Or you can import a CSV, so like a roster of your students. So that's one way to create the class. Once you've created the class, you can then manage your students. So I've created my class and I want to add students into it. So the options I have, I can either do it by email, so I can upload a student email list. The other option that you have, if students, like if you have the younger kids and they might not have email, a lot of districts don't give students email access until middle school, you can auto-generate. So you can type in a student's name, and when you hit add, you can select student has no email, and it will auto-generate a student username and password for you. So then that student can then access all of the lessons that you've shared with that particular class. It also allows you to review the progress that students have made. So this is one example of one of my classes. When I click on an assignment, I can see which students have completed it. I can see whether or not I assigned it with a due date, what my average class score was, my average time, and then it'll go through the individualized students. So I can see Danielle Macklin, she didn't open it, or I could see, okay, their score was 50% or 70% or whatever, and then the amount of time they spent. So if they score really low, but they only spent 35 seconds, oh, okay, maybe you need to talk to that student and have them go back and do a little bit more and redo the lesson. So that's one of the opportunities to have all within the Snow.live platform. So I know that this is a lot of information. I'm hoping I didn't overload you right off the bat. So to avoid that, I'm going to go ahead and unmute some microphones, and we'll get into our Q&A portion so that any questions that you have that are specific to maybe things I've shown you or your own usage of Snowflake or Snow.live, hopefully I will be able to answer them. So I'm going to go ahead and just change those settings real quick. So, all right. If you want to share something, you can either send me a chat, or if you'd like, you can click your microphone icon and it will unmute your mic and you can ask the whole group. It's all however comfortable you feel asking and sharing and participating in our webinar. So I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. Okay, I've got one message in. Is there a way to add students to the class through Google Classroom? Yep, that is absolutely possible. So one of the things that we can do, I can go ahead and share with you my screen again. So when I have my classes open, go ahead and click Manage Students. And one of the options I have is I can import from Google Classroom. I would suggest that you speak with your IT department in the event that it's not allowing you to. A lot of districts make it so that certain outside emails can't be sent to students. So the way that this kind of opens, all the students on that particular Google Classroom list would receive notification that they've been invited to join your class in the Snow.live community. They would need to accept that invitation. And if a school district has that blocked out, that might be something that you would just have to have them, you'd have to have your IT department disable that, so then you can just easily import. So there's that option. All right, any other questions? So a lot of the questions that, let me see. A lot of the questions that we've received just in our experience of showcasing and demoing different features of Snowflake and of Snow.live is what do you want to, or how can you check the functionality of a specific lesson? So if there is, let me go back to sharing my screen. So if I wanted to know a little bit more about a lesson, oops, I hit the wrong button, I'm sorry, try this again. Share web browser, there we go. So if I wanted to learn a little bit more about a lesson, I go to my lesson create, and we do have training videos available, or they will be available shortly on that link I had sent to everyone, and I'll share it again at the end just to make sure. One of the ways that I can find out more info, since the description is pretty short, I click on the lesson, and then if I go to the hamburger and I go to help, it will walk me through all of the pieces, including screenshots of that lesson. Everything from what is the purpose of this lesson, to how does it play, to how do I build it, and then all of the things that you can change within the lesson, as well as the preview of what it would look like. It also has our links to our video tutorials and any additional information. So it gives you a little bit more details if you are struggling to create a lesson, or you'd like just a little bit more info of how a particular lesson works. So what happens if I play a lesson and, let me see. Oh, I just lost that question. So I answered the question about Google Classroom. What happens if I play a lesson and it goes into my lessons? If I edit it, does it change the original lesson? Yes. So when you open up a lesson from the community, so I'm going to go to the community lessons. Once I'm in the community lessons and I click on a lesson, so let's click, just pick one of Veggie Memory Match. That sounds like content I would probably know. Once I hit play, it's going to open up the lesson itself. And then once I've hit play, I can then go to edit, and I can change different components of it. I can remove questions, I can change the rounds, I can rename things, I can add my own sound, I can change backgrounds, I can change theme. The cool thing with Snowflake, we all add our own backgrounds because we like to, but Snowflake has a lot of really great themes already created, so you don't really need to do a whole lot of extra work to have a lesson that is really visually appealing and really strong, and that the kids are interested in seeing. So once you've played the lesson, you can edit your own information to say, this is about whatever. Now that lesson is going to be part of your, basically like part of your portfolio. You're also going to have the opportunity, if you wanted to send that lesson to students within your class. So you do have that chance. Oh, I see another question asking, are the lesson activities aligned to every standard? Our goal is to get to every standard, but I can show you some of the standards that we have already set up. So if I go ahead back to community lessons.
Danielle, do you mind if I answer that question quickly?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jack.
Okay. So as of right now, we are working on a roadmap to produce a lesson activity for every standard from kindergarten through 12th grade in English language arts, math, and science. First, we will work on elementary and middle school, then we'll move into 9th through 12th grade. The expectation now is that in about 7 to 8 months that will be done, and there will be one lesson activity for each of those standards at every grade level. After that, we will move to develop extension activities and scaffolded activities that support each of those lesson activities. So at that point, there would be 3 lesson activities for every standard. So depending on what country you're in, what state you're in, or if you're using Common Core is how we would align them. And they'll be aligned to all the state standards, Common Core standards, and various other country standards so that you'll be able to search for them. So within a year, there will be something across the board for everyone, and a little bit more than a year, and we'll actually have the extension activities and the scaffolded activities built in also.
Great, thank you for sharing that, Jack. Yep, so we've been working with the content team, and we're a global team. So we have educators from around the world who are part of kind of our NUITEQ content team. We're all EdTech specialists. We all have backgrounds in education. So we're in a variety of different levels. We have a variety of different language abilities as well. Not me personally, I don't speak another language very well. But one of the things we are trying to do within our global team is we've been working, especially on Common Core, we have been working to push out a lesson for every single standard. And we have that background. I think that's one of the really great things that Snowflake has, that the team of NUITEQ supports, is we're teachers. We have the background in pedagogy. We understand student thinking. We understand how to differentiate instructions. We really strive to push forward a lot more of that higher level thinking and more critical thinking. So when we create a lesson, it's not just we want the lesson to look pretty, we want it to play well, we want the kids to enjoy it and learn, but we really want to tap into those strong skills that we're trying to achieve as educators for our kids. So, are there other questions that you might have for us? I've been asked if there is a chance for students to play lessons if they don't have a touch screen. That absolutely is something that we are able to support with the online platform, and that's a really great feature of it. We love the way the lessons look on those big boards. They're fantastic. But if you want to do a lot of station rotation activities, it's really great to create a class and to push certain lessons to students. And since you can set the lesson play for a lot of the activities to be set to under gameplay, it's called randomized. So what's being shown on one screen, it's going to be the same content, but it's going to look different from the other content. So they'll be like all of the same info, but they're going to be seeing it in a different way. So then they can't just like look at their neighbor and like get their answers. So that was one of the cool things. I've had my students play on their Chromebooks. They can play really on any device that's connected to an online platform. And same with creating. As a teacher, you can create on any device. I've created actually a lesson on my cell phone waiting for my car to be serviced. So that was great. When you change the language in Snowflake, does it also change the language on the information? That's a really good question. I'm not sure if I know the answer to that, but let me see if I can find the answer for you. Jack, would you happen to know off the top of your head if that's a possibility or if that has to be edited differently?
I really don't know.
That's a really good question, though.
How can I check this out while she's talking? So I don't know, but Raphael, if you would like, I can check on that and get back to you. Or Danielle, if you want to try and change it, you can just try it now.
I can. Let's go ahead and test it out. Let me go back and I'll share my web browser again. All right. So under my profile, I think you're referring to, Raphael, the option to change this language. So if I were to change my language, I'm not sure if it would change. I think it would change the info on the support page, but I don't know if it'll change everything. I will. Let's try some Dutch. Change language. I don't believe that it would change the language for the individual lesson description. So if I go to info, no, it doesn't change for lesson description or the lesson content itself. Just this part changes just the directions of viewing the main explore page and the directions of like lesson creation. Head back to English. Oops, wrong English. There we go. Since I do not speak German. Okay, I've got another question in. If someone downloads a lesson, let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. It's a little easier to read questions when I can see them in a full screen. So go ahead and stop sharing that. All right. Okay, what happens if I play a lesson and it goes into my lessons? If I edit it, does it change the original lesson I played from the community? No, it doesn't. It doesn't change that. So one thing that you could do, you could always return back to the community and see the original lesson if you realized while you were editing, like, oh, maybe I didn't want, that question out. I wanted to keep it. You can go back to the community. You can open that lesson again, and it'll save the original lesson. It won't make any changes to the lesson that you've edited in the community. Hope that answered the question. How do I delete from my shared lessons? Does that delete from the community? Let me see. So if you go to your lessons, so if you went to your lessons and you go to your shared lessons, I believe there is an option to unshare. All right, so if I've gone to one of my lessons and I decided I wanted to delete it. Oh, I love all my lessons. Okay, here's one that I was just practicing with. If you delete it, I don't believe it would delete from the entire community. I think that's still something that we are working out. But if you want to I will make sure that I refer back to that question and I'll reach out to someone and give you like a more specific answer because I don't know if it completely deletes the lesson from the community. So I will get back to you on that. See if there are any other questions. So if there's no questions, I'd love to hear from some of you on maybe if you have what your level of experience using the Snowflake software, using Stone.live would be, and maybe ways that you've used it in your own classroom, or if there's kind of other ideas, we could do kind of like a show and tell portion of it. So I can't really gauge what our experience level is as far as using. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, I'm so grateful that you all were able to participate in this. I think some of the questions you've asked have been spectacular. I really appreciate it. If I wasn't able to answer something, I know there are a few more, and I will definitely get back to you personally about it. Yep, I see another question just came in. The technology specialist in your district. It has changed a lot just in the last couple. I totally agree. It's been in the 5 years that I've been using it. It's changed a lot, and I feel that all of these changes have been so fantastic as far as improving the quality of the lessons that are available in the community. Having that global team has been really great. We have that background and we're really working hard to make good lessons. We're also really trying to make it a lot more user-friendly so that teachers are not spending so much extra time creating lessons. We know, I mean, time's precious. It's our most precious commodity. We don't want any teacher who's using it to feel that it's something that's going to detract from their lesson creation, or it's going to make it so that they're giving up so much extra time to do something. So we love that a lot of the templates are really easy to use. We're trying to really improve just the whole user experience. So we work really hard. We've got really great people supporting it on the back end, doing all of that awesome tech stuff that I don't know about. So they've been doing a really, really great job. I imagine it's something that's going to continue to make amazing improvements and continue to be growing, and hopefully continue to be successful in education, and something that students continue to enjoy using. My kiddos loved using it. All right. So next week we are going to be hosting another webinar. We're going to be walking through specific lesson creation. So next week will be the scramble and the guest lesson types. So if you're interested, it's going to be the same time. There will be an email sent out again, I believe, to give you more information if you are interested in joining in our chat. And we hope to continue doing, I think with the exception of around the holidays, we hope to continue doing our webinars every Wednesday. So next Wednesday at 7 p.m. we will have one. I'm getting the link right now. I am going to attach a link for a feedback survey. Since this was our first one, I'd really, really love to have some feedback about what was helpful, ways that you can maybe see using this in your own classroom, and then just overall rating of your experience in our webinar. So the link going to everyone. So it's just a simple Google form. We will also, after we cross-check, we'll make sure that you do receive a certificate of participation, so that if you need to turn that into your district, if your district counts any outside of class time as professional development, you'll have that opportunity for them as well. So if there's any other questions, I'd happily answer. I'll stick around for as long as you want to be here, but please take the time to fill in that Google form. Just again, we really appreciate that you've been involved in this and that you're helping us kick off something new that we're really excited to try.
Danielle, I would like to add also, for anyone listening for next week, if during the week as you're going through your regular motions at school, you have questions that pop up, jot them down and bring them with you to the next webinar next week, and feel free to ask anything. You're free to ask about anything to do with the product. It does not need to be about the topic that we're speaking about that particular evening.
Absolutely.
So I want to take a moment to thank Danielle. She's done an amazing job for preparing for this.
Thank you.
It's when you're starting a new initiative within a company and trying to do something that's never been done before within that organization, it takes a lot of planning on the back end, even though it may not look like it when you're sitting here. But I really appreciate the amount of time that she's put in extra and gone through and gone on test webinars with me and just choosing the platform that we would use. So I'm very appreciative of that, Danielle.
Well, thanks, Jack. I appreciate the support you've given me as well, because this was definitely at first a little outside my wheelhouse, but I enjoy Snowflake. I enjoy what the company is doing, and I really like being able to share with other educators what we're doing, and hopefully making it a little bit easier for everyone to use the software and use Snowflake or Snow.live as well. So thank you.
And to the other people that are online, if you are going to talk to other teachers, or I would love you to talk to other teachers and talk to them about the webinars, I'm going to ask Danielle to put my email up, which is jr@nuitec.com. Please send me an email with any ideas you have that you would like to cover in webinars, any topics that you think would be of interest to you. Ask your colleagues at school the same thing, and we'll be happy to try to work those into our webinar series topics. So we really want this to be a time for you guys to learn and to grow a community that we can start interacting with and grow the usage and the ability to really impact student achievement through our software. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you again. So I'm just going to finish answering up a few private questions that were sent to me in the chat. You're welcome to stick around. Anyone else, if you think of something otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and turn off my mic and turn off my video. But again, thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone being here and experiencing this with us. So hope everyone has a great night. Bye now.